it's been difficult to watch. I'll say that.
You are definitely right on that.
Hello, Miss Brown. How are you?
Hi, Sherry.
Good. So glad you could join us. Welcome.
Thank you. And good to finally meet you face to face.
Yeah, yeah,
Kind of face to face, I guess.
yeah, kind of. That's the best we can do, huh?
Yeah. Thank you for inviting me here today. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. Were you able to access the board packet and all the information? And
Yep.
okay, great.
Good.
Great. Well, good.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm hoping everybody's been able to enjoy this sunshine a little bit.
Loving it.
It's nice to take 5 minutes every now and then and go enjoy the sunshine.
It is. It is.
Jason, did you order this?
Yes, this is my doings.
Well, I knew you had some connections, so I just assumed that was the case.
Me and my kids make these orders every night.
I may have some extra orders I might ask of you. Looked like our friend from PeADD was there. My phone kind of popped up.
Yeah.
Yeah. She came back for more, huh?
I'm back.
We didn't run her off the first time?
Didn't scare me. I'm excited because I'll get to talk a little bit more about it today, about the PeADD, and so very excited about this opportunity.
Awesome.
Yep. We appreciate you joining us today.
Thank you. Thank you.
Apologize we couldn't get you last month. We had some legislative stuff that I knew would extend some time, so I wanted to make sure you had plenty of time to talk about what was going on at PeADD.
Yep. Thank you, Mr. Jason.
Oh, there's Deb. I haven't seen Deb in 2 months. How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Good. Are we ever going to connect?
I don't know. If the good Lord's willing and the creeks don't rise.
Every time I get an email, I think we're going to get back together, and then all hell breaks loose. And
I know.
maybe with all the sunshine that Jason Benson has brought us, maybe we can start to dry out. And
Sounds like a winner.
It's gonna happen.
yeah.
2023.
I did get the good book out over the weekend and look, since we've had plague, blizzard, floods, and now locusts are supposed to be showing up at some point in time. Wanted to make sure I had the right order in mind if there was something I was supposed to be doing.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Hey, Judge.
Oh, Judge.
Oh, it's okay.
Mr. Chairman, we'll just give it a couple more minutes or so. We've still got people coming in.
Okay.
I got to say hi to Bart Frazier
Hey.
and Roger and Perry. There they are.
Hey, Judge.
How are you, sir? Y'all tell
Hey,
Bart,
Judge.
Bart, I'm still here.
Hey.
I know he'll find it hard to believe as old as I am, but I'm here.
Well, I'm afraid our basketball's about over, isn't it, for the season?
I think it's getting close.
Well, I meant for Kentucky, right?
I knew what you meant.
Yeah.
They're gonna have to play their way in this time.
Just think how much money you saved on tickets this year.
Oh, I've saved a bundle. That's right.
Sad.
Good year not to be able to buy them, I'll tell you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The only thing that makes me happy is Duke's not doing any better, really.
Is that
That's
under-
for
North Carolina.
Wasn't there 1 week that Kansas, Duke, North Carolina, and Kentucky, none of them were ranked? First time since back in 1950s
Yeah,
or 60s or something.
I think so.
But it's Thursday.
Mr. Chairman, we do have a quorum, so whenever you're ready, I think we can get started.
All right, well, I'll go ahead and call the meeting for March 7th of the Penny Rile Area Development District to order. And today we have Miss Deb Domke of Lyon County going to lead our pledge. And then that'll be followed by our invocation by Christian County citizen member Bernard Standard. So if everyone would please join, and we'll just let Deb say the pledge on our behalf.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, Mr. Standard, could you lead us in our invocation, please?
Be happy to and delighted to do so as we pray. Our Father in heaven, it's again that we come before thee in our divine presence, thanking you for the many blessings that you have bestowed upon us. Bless us one by one, then bless us collectively. Let us all, as we come together, do those things in our community that be pleasing in thy sight. And where we may not be agreeable in all things, let us not be disagreeable. Continue to bless us, and we do all those things that's precious in thy sight. Amen.
Amen.
All right, thank you all very much. Before we get started on our agenda, I'll make this announcement real quick, and I'm going to give credit to Mayor Arthur Green during our PAX meeting this morning. For those of you that joined in, instead of him asking for approval of any action items, he asked if anyone had opposition to it. So we're going to do that same thing. It kind of cuts down on chatter. So unless anyone's opposed to anything, I'll give you an opportunity to say so. Otherwise, we'll accept any action as approved by lack of anybody's opposition. That confuses everything enough. So thank you, Mayor Green, if you're on here. First item is approval of our minutes from our previous meeting. And if you've had a chance to look at those, unless anyone says otherwise, those will be approved as presented. All right, hearing no opposition, then we'll move on to the next item, and that's our financial report. Ms. Chrissy?
Yes. If you look at the financial report that's in your board packet, for February, the board should be at 66.67% to be in line with the budget. Overall, we are at 54.57% of the administrative budget as of 2/28/21. All line items are currently within budget. And that's it.
Okay. Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve, Judge Tribble. Motion
All
to
right, Judge
approve.
Tribble, do I have a second? From Bart Frazier. All right, I got a second from Bart Frazier. Is anybody opposed to the approval of the financial report? All right, there being none, it will be approved as presented. We'll move on then to our federal and state reports. And first, from Senator McConnell's office, we have with us John Crosby. John?
John is with Senator Paul's office. I believe
I'm
Morgan.
sorry.
Yes.
I'm sorry, Morgan.
Thanks, Judge. No problem. Good afternoon, everyone. Always good to be with you all. Just a quick update from DC. I'm sure as many of you saw over the weekend, Senate Democrats passed a nearly $2 trillion stimulus bill, which was passed along a party line vote with all Democrats in favor and all Republicans opposed, including Senator McConnell. It was also previously passed out of the House with no Republican votes as well. This process is in contrast to last year when Congress passed 5 historic COVID relief bills, and not one of those 5 bills got fewer than 90 votes in the Senate, or less than about 80% of votes in the House. This bill is packed with non-COVID related policies. Actually, only 9% of the nearly $2 trillion would actually go to the healthcare fight against the virus itself, and only 1% would be for vaccines. And as for getting kids back in classrooms, of the money allocated for K through 12 schools in this bill, only 5% would actually be spent this fiscal year. The bill will have to go back to the House since there were a couple of changes made in the Senate, so we'll see that play out in the House this week. Lastly, I just want to mention that our office has also been tracking the flooding that occurred about a week ago across the state. I know I've spoken with a few of you that were affected. I know thankfully that our area wasn't hit as badly as some other parts of the state, but please let me know if you have any questions about the FEMA disaster declaration process, or any way we can be of assistance on that front. That's all I have. Thanks so much for having me.
All right, thank you, Morgan. And again, I apologize. Jason sent me a text message telling me John Crosby was here for Senator Pauls, and I put John in your place, so I apologize for that. If we don't get back to in-person meetings, I don't think I'm gonna make it. So at this time, John, are you with us?
Yes, sir. Thank you. Just here on behalf of Jason, of course, the great thing about following Senator McConnell's rep is that's usually a pretty thorough description of what's going on. She did a wonderful job. The only thing I'll add to that is Senator Paul was able, through the parliamentarian process, to have some of the what we considered non-COVID related funding removed. That was some funding that was designated to Planned Parenthood that we argued with the parliamentarian could not be considered directly COVID related funding. And during that process, the Democrats just went ahead and removed that from the legislation. So other than that, nothing much to add, except we hope to have Jason back soon. He's recovering and getting better every day. And thank you all so much for having us.
All right, thank you, John. Now we have Corey Elder with Congressman Comer's office. Corey.
Hello, everyone. Just want to start out by saying that our office is definitely open to working with anyone that's dealing with FEMA from the flooding that we had the past week. I know I spent some time in Christian and Todd counties last week where they got a lot of rain. And we're definitely wanting to make sure that we get all the FEMA resources that we can out there. As Morgan mentioned, with the second or the last stimulus bill, Congressman Comer is deeply concerned with the excess spending in DC. At the state and federal level, all these funds that have already been allocated, they are fully meant to help those that need it. but all too often it goes to an overly complicated bureaucratic process, and it neglects those that really need it when they need it. We want to be smart with our spending, like the cities and counties have to be, but not with an open checkbook. Additionally, the new administration has pulled back several border rules, and it has led to a spike in illegal immigration at the border, with a lot of migrant children being housed there. Congressman Comer has been vocal about these out of the gate failures of the new administration and has been advocating for strict enforcement at the border. And as always, please let Amelia or myself know if there's any federal issue that comes up, or you need help with a federal agency, or if anyone in your network is needing help. Just the same, just please feel free to reach out to us and we'll hop on it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Corey. And Representative Prunty, I believe you're with us as well.
Yes, good afternoon, everyone. Always good to be with you all. I guess you all know we've got 6 days left in Frankfurt, 4 days before the veto period and then 2 days after. So many of the bills that we passed that we were trying to get the economy going again and spread out the powers and the decision making across the different branches of government have been enjoined by the courts. So we're disappointed about that. I still continue to hear about unemployment issues a lot. Still trying to get my folks connected to the labor cabinet to get them some help. Many times circling back 3 and 4 times for folks. And we did pass some, it's not got across the finish line yet, but we're trying to pass some unemployment insurance relief for small businesses, postponing when they have to pay their rates, and then trying to protect individuals who might have gotten overpayments, not of any fault of their own, that they're trying to claw back on, that they may have used for payments, mortgage payments or whatever, trying to give them some protection if there was no fraud or anything on the part of the individual that they're not going to have to pay that back, but trying to get some relief on both ends of that. So exciting news in the 15th district this week. In Madisonville on Monday morning and in Muhlenberg County in the afternoon, Madisonville Community College announced the opening of the flight schools, training for helicopter pilot training in Madisonville Municipal Airport, and fixed wing pilot training in Muhlenberg. And there's simulators in both facilities, and trying to get some, I think it's going to open the doors for economic development, for education, for training, getting some good jobs for hopefully the young people moving up, if we can get them excited about it, for anyone maybe laid off or somebody that wants to have a career change, or maybe someone leaving the military, if they would come and settle in the 15th district or close by and take advantage of those opportunities. So we're very excited about those announcements. If y'all have any questions, I'll be glad to answer them. We still have to vote on the budget. Conference committee's going on this week, couple of days. I got to go up Wednesday for a joint A&R committee, and then a House A&R committee on Thursday, and then we're supposed to vote, I think, on Friday on the budget. And it's probably just going to be a continuation budget. It's what we're hearing. I don't know what they're duking out in the committee, but that's what we're hearing. So if y'all have got any questions, I'll be glad to try to answer them or get an answer for you. So thanks again.
Thank you, Representative Prunty. All right, next on the agenda is Ms. Denitra Henderson, our Chief District Engineer from District 2, Transportation Cabinet. Denitra.
Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. I would say no report, but I should share that just to give a warning, we are entering pothole season for the cabinet. So now is the time of year that those things pop up, and we also spend the largest amount of our resources filling potholes because the blacktop plants aren't quite reopened all the way just yet. So our efforts are to fill those things in. If we know of some that's particularly bad in a high traffic location, I've even talked to superintendents that are filling those things first thing every morning and then going back around and filling that back in the afternoon before they go home. And so there are certain ones, I'm thinking of one on the WK Parkway that we filled with concrete a couple days ago, and you may have seen the notice that it had been closed, that lane had been closed. So they do know where the biggest problems are, and they do keep an eye on those. And again, if Judges, please feel free to reach out if you know one that they've not hit in a few days, and we'll get some attention to it. But the end is in sight for a lot of these routes because we had a very heavy resurfacing program letting in February, and again scheduled for March as well. So we won't be able to resurface as many routes as we would like, but for a lot of these roads, especially the worst off ones, we will be having a heavy resurfacing program this summer. So that'll help significantly.
All right, thank you. Moving on then to Elton Thomas, our DLG field rep for West Kentucky. Elton.
Thank you, sir. I'm going to be brief. First and foremost, thank you all. The vaccinations are going well. We're starting to see some decline in some of our counties, so that's good. So keep up whatever it is that you're doing, keeping folks out there, getting them vaccinated. We thank you for that. Also, we know that 12 counties have received monies to improve their parks. Madisonville is in our area, so should have received that information knowing about that. And also the Delta Region Authority applications are open, so you can start submitting applications for DRA monies. That's all I have, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Elton. All right, we'll move on into our reports. First on the list is our Area Agency on Aging and Independent Living update. Ms. Jill.
Thank you. I have just a couple of quick updates today. I'm going to start with our area plan. This year should have been our year to write a new area plan, but based on COVID and the pandemic, we were asked just to simply make revisions to our current plan, which was approved by the board 3 years ago. And the list of those revisions is included in your packet, but those were basically some simple revisions, including our budget updates, our staffing updates. If we've had any changes in our council members and advisory council, those have all been updated, and those will be submitted to the Department for Aging and Independent Living at the end of the month. But again, a new plan was not required this year, so this was basically just a revision of our current plan that has been in place. In your newsletter, you'll see an article that March is National Social Work Month. And so I do want to just recognize the social workers that are on staff here in the Area Agency on Aging and for the work that they do to serve our clients. They have been essential and instrumental in connecting those clients to services that have been much needed during this COVID pandemic over the past year. And so we are very appreciative of their efforts on a daily basis. Also in your packet, you will see the waiting list for services that is broken down by county. And so if you have any questions for your county, you can let me know. I do want to just point out on the home delivered meal wait list, even though we have clients listed on the wait list during the COVID pandemic, they are all being provided a home delivered meal through those COVID and CARES dollars. And once those funds are expired, then we will work with those clients to determine if they still have the need for that meal and how we would go about moving them into another program for those. As of Friday last week, we did receive a draft plan from the Department for Aging and Independent Living just to begin some discussions, some very initial discussions on developing a plan and what that might look like for the reopening of our senior centers. We are working on our responses and questions, and we'll get those sent back to Frankfurt today. There's not been a date set for reopening, but the discussions are happening. And so as we learn more about what that may look like, then we will be keeping the board updated on that as we move forward. Our meal numbers are also referenced in your newsletter. As of February the 12th, we've provided over 250,000 meals in our area, which is a significant number. And we're thankful for our case management staff that have connected those clients to those services. And of course, to our nutrition provider, which is Penny Royal Allied Community Services. When we look at those meals on a daily basis, we're averaging about 1,100 meals per day that are being provided throughout our counties. Throughout the pandemic, we've also had a number of clients who have opted to put their services on hold just for safety precautions. And with the vaccine rollout, we are starting to see a very low number of those clients who have chosen to have their services on hold. As of today, we only have 7 clients in the district who have chosen to have their services on hold. And we are continuing to work with those clients to make sure they have access to the vaccine or whatever it is that they need, if it's PPE or things of that nature. And then my last update is regarding our Aging and Disability Resource Center. When new callers contact our Aging and Disability Resource Center, we are now assisting with signing those callers up for vaccination notifications and connecting them with a possible vaccine in their area. So when they call in as part of that screening process, we are asking them the questions about the vaccine and if they need help getting connected with the vaccination site. And so that is part of our ADRC screening at this point. And that has been going well. And outside of that, those are my updates. And if anyone has any questions, I would be happy to answer those. Thank you.
Thank you, Jill. We'll move on then to our Community and Economic Development Report and Miss Amy Froh.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I am going to try to share my screen here. Can you all see that PowerPoint?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, great. As Elton mentioned, the Delta Regional Authority has opened their annual grant program titled the State's Economic Development Assistance Program, or what we refer to as the CDAP program. This is an annual grant program that is available to the 8-state Delta region that includes parts of Western Kentucky, including all of the counties in the Purchase and Penny Ryle area development districts, and then a few of the counties up in the Green River area development district area. All of our cities and counties in the PeADD region are eligible to apply for these funds, as well as some nonprofit entities, such as our community colleges or our hospitals, which we have helped apply for these funds in the past. Just again to reiterate, private for-profit entities are not eligible for DRA funding, but if a city or a county wishes to undertake a project such as running a water or sewer line on behalf of a private entity, that would be an eligible activity. The primary, DRA has 4 primary activity areas for their projects, with the first of those being basic public infrastructure. These are your water and wastewater facilities, as well as electric and gas utilities, and broadband is always a really popular activity that we see applications go in for. Transportation infrastructure, including our roadways, bridges, rails, port facilities, and airports. Business development with an emphasis on entrepreneurship, also an emphasis on business creation, and business retention and expansion activities. And then workforce development activities, which includes job training or employment related education. And they do like to see those partnerships with our existing public education institutions, like our community colleges that are located within the region. Again, each of these activities, the applications under these 4 categories, they like to see a regional impact emphasis, as well as to see multiple funding partners, and then job creation or retention components to those projects. For this year's application cycle, Kentucky has a little over $1.3 million allocated to the CDAP program. And that 1.3 million will be specifically for those 3 area development districts or those counties in Kentucky. DRA also has an annual allocation to their community infrastructure fund, which is what we call our SIF program. That's primarily funds for our water and wastewater infrastructure. They have about $15 million in that fund, but instead of that being allocated directly to the states, that is an entire DRA region competitive source there. All eligible entities must submit their application through us. We have the responsibility through our contract with DRA of inputting those applications on your behalf into their electronic application system. Their application period did open on March the 1st, so it is currently open, and it will close on June the 6th of this year. So we've got a little time to think about projects and get those applications submitted. DRA considers a tier 1 application as one that has committed job creation, again, has a regional impact, and has other committed funds into the project. And as we submit those tier 1 applications, DRA will take a look at those applications and consider them for funding as they come in, rather than waiting until the end of the application period in June. Each applicant must ensure the sustainability of the project. So if it's a project that's not just a one-time putting in a water or sewer line or things of that nature, if it's an ongoing activity such as workforce training programs, we must be able to show how the project will be sustained after that initial injection of DRA funding. If any of you all are interested in applying for these funds, you can contact any of our community and economic development staff and getting that process started. Just a few reminders for you all. This information was presented to you a couple of months ago at the board meeting, but it continues to be found in our newsletter. Just some dates to remember: the recycling and household hazardous waste applications are currently open, and that application period will end on April the 1st. The recreational trails program, as Elton mentioned, those applications from last year that were awarded have just been announced. So if you submitted an application last year and would like to resubmit, we have until May the 31st to resubmit those applications, or if you have additional projects that you want to apply for funding for. And then our Land and Water Conservation Fund, those applications will be due on May 31st as well. The last item that I have is your intergovernmental review report, which you can find in the board packet. And we had one project for review this past month up in Hopkins County. And the board members from Hopkins County have received that for comment on that. If I don't have any questions, that is all I have today.
Sounds like there's none. Thank you, Amy. Next, we have Ms. Sheila Clark with our workforce development update.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I wanted to bring 2 or 3 items quickly to you that are not in today's packet, and then apologize for the fact that we do not have the labor market data this month that has not been released yet for us to include it at this time. And we hope to bring that to you next month. We too will begin a planning process this month with our Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act. We have to address a local plan, a regional plan, and then our information is rolled up into a state plan. In our local planning process, we submit our plan to the state on April the 30th, and that also gives us a 30-day review period that starts on April 30th. And then we will send any comments we receive during that time to the state and incorporate them into our plan. We also have the regional plan that we work with the Green River local workforce area on. There's 10 workforce areas across the state, and there are 5 regional areas that will be addressing plans together. We normally have some type of planning meeting with all of our partner agencies, some of you all that are on today, and you can expect that meeting coming up for discussion as we look at activities and emphasis to put in the plan. And we'd like all of our partners' input, and that would probably be the early part of April. Also, in the last few days, we've had more discussions with the Labor Cabinet and other groups and our partner agencies and looking at trying to set a time that we can return to our career centers with face-to-face appointments for all of our services that our partners would provide in the centers. We're not sure that there can be one opening date across the state for that, but we're hoping that there might be a time in April that we could have the career centers across the state doing face-to-face by appointment only, trying to cover all the CDC guidelines that we would have. And of course, that would be an extraordinary undertaking to bring in the public with some of the needs that we have out there. But we feel like that some of the individuals will not have their problem solved until they really are assisted face-to-face. So we will have a weekly call with some of the partner representatives and Frankfurt for the next few weeks to try to figure out how we can all make that happen. But I did want to make you aware of that. And I know that there has been some bills filed and some that are starting to move forward. We have not heard the outcome or the direction that some of those may end up going in, but our emphasis is to try to get our centers back open and see people face to face. We have a board meeting on Friday, March the 12th at 10 a.m. That's a virtual board meeting with our workforce board. And then there's also a virtual bus tour that the governor and lieutenant governor are kicking off across the state that will visit our local workforce areas. It'll talk about the other partner agencies and what those agencies have to offer regarding education, employment opportunities, how to continue education for someone that's financially challenged. And of course, in the COVID environment, it's even more important that we look at meeting our educational needs, even though there's great challenges during that time. So we will be presenting about 5 minutes of information out of a 30-minute period with all of our partners talking there. And if you'd like to see that, that is on Wednesday, March the 10th at 2 p.m. Let me move to some information in your packet today. Right after the economic development and the Delta pieces, you'll see a request for proposal page. There's 2 pages regarding each of the proposals in the packet. These are activities that the Workforce Board procures to assist it with the one-stop operations that guides the one-stop and their partner agencies and has contacts with the agencies, keeps up with who's where and what we need to be doing next with our career centers. And that will open up with our release date right now is projected for Friday, March the 12th. We will have a bidders conference. We will answer questions, and we will have a response deadline of April the 26th for that proposal. And we'll be happy to answer questions once it is released. On the request for proposal for direct services, you'll see a page with it that outlines the details of activities. There is a required intent to bid, a required bidders conference, and then as I said, the release is March the 12th. The submission on that one is also April the 26th. And as I said, it is a required intent to bid on those, as well as a bidders conference that must be attended. These will all be virtually. There will be no face-to-face meetings in the request for proposal process for both of those topics. We have a lot of things going on. We're trying to keep it safe and use virtual information and outreach whenever we can. We will note also in your packet, there is a regional entrepreneurial conference. It's a virtual event and it is Wednesday, March the 10th. And it has a wide range of supporters and partners that you'll see at the bottom of that. And we are just pleased that we can continue this at this time and bring some of those services that so many of the partner agencies feel that's important and continue to reach out for entrepreneurial activities there. So I wanted to bring that to your attention today. So we have lots of tidbits going on. If you'd like any more detailed information, you have questions, please give me a call. Mr. Chairman, any questions? If not, thank you.
Thank you, Sheila. I'm going to bounce back up in our agenda for just a minute. I understand Mr. Doug Taylor has joined us, and he said he really didn't have anything of substance to report, but would answer any questions. So does anyone have any questions for Doug, our representative for municipal rural and municipal aid? I'll spit it out in a minute, Doug.
You did good, Judge. Particularly questions about the emergency co-op program based on last weekend's storm event that any of you may have. I think most of you county judges have had experience with that program in the past. Mayors, you may not have. If you've got any questions, I'll be happy to field them now, or feel free to call me privately and we'll discuss them on an individual basis. If not, Judge Newcomb, thank you for the opportunity.
All right. Thank you, Doug. Good to see you.
Good to see you.
All right. We'll move on to our new business then. First item is our monthly code of ethics report. And I'm happy to say that we've got no issues there. So we'll move right on then to the introduction of our guest speaker. And we're proud today to have with us Miss Nancy Brown, who is the Executive Director of the Kentucky Procurement Technical Assistance Center. Ms. Brown is a certified project management professional with 13 years of domestic and international experience, working for profit and nonprofit corporations. Ms. Brown started her career working for the Queen of Jordan as a PR specialist. After moving to the United States from Jordan, Ms. Brown went on to serve a wide range of well-known companies such as Valve Headquarters, UK Healthcare, and has been a part of the Kentucky Procurement Technical Assistance Center since 2016. Ms. Brown received her Bachelor's of Arts in Communication from the University of Kentucky. And as I said, we're proud to have her with us today. So Ms. Brown, if you would.
Hello, how are you all? Thank you for the introduction. I'm very excited to be here. And I wanted today to talk to you about the Kentucky Procurement Technical Assistance Center. You're going to hear me say PTAC or Kentucky PTAC a lot. So if you're wondering what that means, it's the Kentucky Procurement Technical Assistance Center. It's a mouthful, so I usually just say PTAC. And so a quick history lesson here. In 1985, the DLA created a program, a national program called the Procurement Technical Assistant. And the goal of that is to provide the best tools and techniques to business owners that want to enter the government contracting market. A few things to note about this program is that, as I mentioned, it's a national program, so they have presence in all 50 states. Anytime you go to any state in the US, you're going to find a PTAC. There is about 100 locations across the state. Some states get more than one PTAC based on their size. And all PTAC must provide free services to businesses to make sure that they have zero risk when they dive into the government procurement market. Here in Kentucky, the Kentucky PTAC program supports all 120 counties in the Commonwealth, with 4 regional offices located in Lexington, Elizabethtown, Bowling Green, and Somerset. We have a team of 5 procurement consultants that are specialized and trained in assisting businesses with entering and being compliant, helping businesses to be compliant in the government procurement market. We currently also are in the process of opening 2 more offices One is going to be in Western Kentucky, and the job is going to be posted today. So if you know anyone, or you can recommend anyone who is interested in helping businesses with government contracting, please feel free to email me their information and their resume. And then we are also going to be hiring someone in Louisville. So we will have an office in Louisville as well. So we will have a total of 6 offices, hopefully by the end of this year. So to tell you a little bit about our mission is to promote inclusive economic development by assisting companies in the process of providing products and or services to the either federal, state, or local government. We do that by coaching, training, and equipping businesses with the tools that they need to succeed. That includes increasing access to subcontracting opportunities through large companies, such as some of example of large companies like Humana, Raytheon, Lockheed. Those are really large companies that work with directly with the government in many cases. So let's see here. Our services include helping Kentucky businesses to enter and compete in the government space. So we do that, like I said earlier, through coaching. This is a one-on-one consulting to help businesses who are newer to the government contracting world obtain all the registrations that they need, certifications, prepare bids, being compliant with the FAR, or the Federal Acquisition Regulations, excuse me, match them with contracting opportunities, and much more. We also have training, and that training typically we do between 100 and 130 events per year. We make sure that we travel to many counties that are interested in learning about government contracting. We sometimes host events in our offices as well, and we also do webinars. Of course, during the pandemic, we were strictly doing webinars. We did not do any roadshows or any in-person events, but we were also still able to reach 95 training sessions as far as webinars. And the topics all cover anything from A to Z when it comes to government contracting. We also do equipping. The equipping is basically targeting. It's all about targeting and that targeting the agencies that really match the business, and find out where are these agencies and how can we market and build marketing strategies to allow them to work together, whether it's the agencies, making sure that the agencies and the businesses match and able to work together as well. We also make sure that we help suppliers large companies with supplier diversities. There is a huge push recently with making sure that large businesses do have supplier diversity goals. And each large company has specific goals, and many companies contact us and ask us to help the smaller business obtain the certifications that they need in order to authenticate their status and make sure that they obtain a certification to start the process of working with that small business. And again, all of those things that we do are free of charge. We are, see here, let me tell you a little bit about how we get paid since we are free. The federal government guarantees our matching dollar, matching each dollar raised by our host agency. And generally, for every dollar that we raise in the state, whether it's from the actual state or other sources such as corporations or donations any type of funding that we get, typically the federal government will match to $2.10. So it's a really good deal because we get a lot of funding from outside, from the federal government. And the type of matches that we get can be cash sources or in-kind matches. And all of that to say is that all of the businesses we help are very grateful for the PeADD services. They get to learn and grow with the help of our consultants. Again, it's all at a zero risk to them. All of our services are free of charge since we are funded through the federal and in-state funds. We have a great opportunities to help Kentucky businesses become even more successful in the government marketplace. And we all know that the government is not going anywhere. It's never going to be out of business. So there's a lot of opportunities for businesses to help out with innovation and national security and things like responding to a pandemic, or also move on to a national recovery services. So we're here to help. If there's anybody who has any questions, they can contact me at nbrown@kstc.com. And you can also try to visit us at our website, kyptac.com. I didn't put it here, but it's kentuckyptac.com. And that's it. Thank you. If there's anybody who has questions, I'm happy to answer.
Right. Hearing none, thank you, Director Brown. We really appreciate you taking time to be with us today and share that information.
Thank you.
Next on our agenda is an update with the West Kentucky Coalition and Judge Whitfield, our chairman for that organization.
Yes, sir. Hey, everybody. Hope everybody's having a good day. So we did have a meeting of the West Kentucky Coalition where we talked about some legislation that we were trying to get through. Some of it is done well. Some of it we're still waiting on. We have had a really good response from the counties as far as our membership. I think we had 2 counties left to join out of the 24. The cities are not quite as good. They're running about 30% that have signed up to join. So hopefully the judges on here can help get the counties and their cities to join that coalition, which includes myself. We've got several cities here in Hopkins County that haven't joined as well. As far as just a new organization that's getting off the ground, I think it's going well, especially considering the timing. We probably picked a really bad time to start a new coalition, not being able to meet in person, but hopefully as these our numbers continue to trend downward, we'll be able to get together in person and begin to develop a coordinated strategy moving forward for what we want to see this organization, where we want to see it go and what we want to see it do. I will say we did have a little bit of kickback from some legislators who felt like maybe we were not being fair to them. But again, we formed this as an organization that will help point our legislators in the direction we need them to go, and we'll continue to do that. But we do want to work with our legislators, not against them, and we'll do that as much as possible. We've got some really good ones, and we're not always going to agree. So, but I think it is an entity that can help this region and help us continue to grow. And we continue to see areas where West Kentucky is left out. So we'll look at that. And that's not all just legislative priorities, but things such as boards and our road infrastructure that at times we feel like West Kentucky's not given its due. So we'll continue to work with that and make this organization grow and get stronger. And again, continue to work with our legislators to try to grow West Kentucky.
All right. Thank you, Judge Whitfield. They say any strength of an organization is based on its resiliency and adaptability. So this group should be in good shape moving forward after this.
Definitely.
All right. Next up is our director's report. Mr. Vincent.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good afternoon, everyone. Great to see everyone's faces on here. Ms. Brown, thank you for joining us today and talking about the Kentucky Procurement Technical Assistance Center. Obviously, we look forward to working with you, and anything we can do for you in the future, please don't hesitate to give us a call. We have already talked about several pieces of legislation, but I did want to hone in on just a few pieces. And at first, I'd like to ask our chair of our Regional Transportation Committee, Mr. John Maury, to give us just a quick update as far as what he's hearing on the transportation legislation, especially House Bill 561, and anything else, other transportation activities, John, you wanted to talk about. So John, you want to take it for a few moments?
Thank you, Director Vincent. Yes, I'll mention a couple of things. First off, as you mentioned, House Bill 561, that's the so-called gas tax bill. For those that haven't followed it closely yet, it provides a floor of 34.6 cents per gallon. It indexes that to go up no more than 10% a year based upon future increases. It also establishes a fee of $150 for electric vehicles so that they can pay a portion of their fair share of maintenance costs for our streets and roads, $75 for hybrids. This bill is currently under review in the House. The situation is this, as Representative Prunty mentioned earlier, we're running close on the number of days left for any legislation to be considered. It was considered an important thing that the bill was finally introduced. The Kentucky Infrastructure Coalition, primarily led by the State Chamber of Commerce and Kentuckians for Better Transportation, are really working this issue hard. However, we do only have a few legislative days left. It's my understanding it'll be announced this afternoon that the State Chamber is going to put a real PR and advertising push on to try to make sure that people are aware of this legislation and the opportunity that it presents to shore up our revenue issues relative to our highway trust fund. So I want to call that to everyone's attention, House Bill 561. Again, I think most of us know, especially after the ice and snowstorm, we're going to need probably every dollar we can find for not just pothole patching, but resurfacing. And of course, we always have a tremendous backlog of needs of both existing and new projects. So if you're interested in our infrastructure and our future economic competitiveness, please contact your state representatives, your senators, and anyone that you know within the General Assembly about this issue as soon as you possibly can. House Bill 561.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for going over that. I did want to just give an update and on a few items that we're keeping our eye on, specifically as it relates to our activities here at the PeADD. Of course, Representative Prunty already mentioned the executive budget, and as she said, there really hasn't been a whole lot of discussion about the budget just yet, but we anticipate that to change very soon. In fact, I believe those discussions began about 2 hours ago. So all indications are at this point that our funding that we receive here at the area development districts should remain fairly constant from what we saw last year. We've mentioned House Bill 367 before. This bill would add public employment offices in pre-identified communities should those area unemployment rates go above the 5% mark. In our region, those communities include Central City, Hopkinsville, Madisonville, and Marion. It did pass the House overwhelmingly last week, and we're waiting for it to move forward in the Senate. We did, however, learn over the weekend that it may have stalled just due to the sheer cost of opening up those offices. So we will continue to monitor that as this week progresses. We're also keeping an eye on SB.
Jason,
Yes,
Jason, can I
yes,
interject a minute?
feel free.
Um, Representative Sharp, who was the bill sponsor, I encouraged him to go talk to Senator Nemes, because Senator Nemes was part of the labor cabinet when a lot of those offices were closed during the Bevin administration because the unemployment rate was so low, they weren't needed. And they were trying to locate those centers next to community colleges and technical schools to try to get folks educated or get a skill to get them in the workforce. And so they were strategically placing those. I encouraged him to go talk to him because I knew that there were reasons for all of that, and I encouraged him to consider thinking outside the box and doing mobile units and things like that, so you're not tying a lot of money up into an office that may very quickly, hopefully, if the economy gets going again, may not be needed again. And so he did go talk to Senator Nemes, and my understanding is they went and talked to Rocky Adkins, and I'm not really sure what's going on there, but trying to be creative and address the needs that are needed, hit the hot spots, but not just open them all up when they may not be needed. So I know they, when they closed those, I think they saved $250,000, and they said a lot of the people were sitting around doing nothing in some of those offices because they just weren't necessary. And so trying to make sure you got what you need without overdoing and, being mindful of those dollars, those much needed dollars. And I would just like to interject a little bit on 561. I have said this, I said this to the West Kentucky Coalition. I said this to the chamber when they talked in Madisonville. I've said it consistently. It's very difficult for me to put that on the back of individual citizens when the economy's not going good and the unemployment issues are still so high. And I've talked to the bill sponsor about that, about some sort of compromise, to get something rather than, nothing. It's tough. It's very tough because, I'm hearing about bridges being unsafe for buses to go across them. I've seen pictures of roads in Eastern Kentucky that have been washed out by the floods. I know it's needed. It's just really hard when, the price of gas is already going up again, and to talk about raising any kind of taxes. And I get the whole picture. I just don't know where that's going to land. So I just thought I would put that in there as well. So thanks for the opportunity.
Thanks, Representative. We're also keeping an eye on Senate Bill 276. That does a couple of things with our workforce programs. First, it would create a Kentucky Education and Workforce Collaborative regarding implementation of the board's strategic plan. Secondly, it would look to revamp the state's workforce program to make it what a lot of folks call is the Texas model. And without going into much detail, the Texas model basically gives the local workforce boards more oversight of all public workforce programs. And obviously, I think if you were to ask Sheila, and I know it's my opinion, when it comes to making decisions based on our workforce needs, obviously, we feel like that those decisions being made at the local level are definitely best in many cases. So again, just that bill has been introduced. It's sort of hung in committee right now. I'm not real sure if it'll go anywhere at this point in this late time of the ball game, but just wanted to let you all know that it is out there. Also wanted to bring your attention to House Bill 320 pertaining to broadband development. I'm sure many of you all have already heard this. Most importantly, it would provide flexibility for our electric co-ops to provide that broadband service. If you recall, last year, our board actually approved and submitted a resolution to PSC and the legislature to support the co-ops and their ability to provide broadband. And of course, this is of particular interest to Kenergy and our northern counties. So keep an eye on House Bill 320. And then finally, one that Representative Prunty has been working with us on, that's House Concurrent Resolution number 55. This resolution creates a task force to study all of the Medicaid waiver programs. Of course, unfortunately, the ads were left out of that task force, even though we provide as much as 20% of the waiver services across the state. And of course, after talking with Representative Prunty about this and her discussions with the bill sponsor, it looks like that there is going to be a way for, hopefully, if it doesn't happen in the Senate, for it to happen in other ways, for us to get on that task force. So thanks, Representative Prunty, for helping make that happen.
Well, you were actually supposed to be an amendment, and the bill sponsor didn't know what happened to that language, but they did say that Suzanne Miles, the ones that appoint to the task force, that the speaker has discretion to add folks, and that you're supposed to be added. So I'm gonna watch that. So
thank you for that. Typically, during this time of the year, we're starting to plan for our annual meeting, which usually takes place on the second Monday of June. However, after having some conversations here internally with our management folks and of course with our chairman, we've decided to pass any type of in-person event to the second Monday in September, which would be September the 13th. Of course, we will still have our formal annual meeting in June, where our new members are appointed to the board. But our goal is to hold some type of celebration event in September. So just stay tuned for more information on this topic, but please go ahead and put September the 13th on your calendar. And as I was telling the staff this morning, we've recently signed agreements with several venues regarding events that we are planning, and I tell you, it just feels good to be signing those agreements and to actually be planning for in-person events. So I definitely hope that that continues. And then finally, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to draw your attention to the newsletter that's in your packet. Of course, as it's already been mentioned a couple of times, but it's jam-packed with information. However, and this is Representative Prunty has already mentioned this as well, but the event that took place surrounding the aviation program at Madisonville Community College. This program is going to give students a great opportunity to become professional pilots through fixed wing or helicopter options, and training will take place again both at Madisonville and Muhlenberg County. I hate that didn't make it into the newsletter this month. It had already been completed at that point, but thank you, Representative Prunty, for already mentioning that. And I just wanted to mention it again. It's going to be a great opportunity for our region, especially with Fort Campbell right here in the backyard. So congratulations to MCC on that. Mr. Chairman, that's all I have. If there are any questions, I'll be happy to take those now, or feel free to give me a call or shoot me an email anytime.
All right. Thank you, sir. Anybody have any questions? Any other business anyone knows of needs to be brought before the board? All right, there being none, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
Mayor Cotton, I move to adjourn.
Thank you, sir. Do I have a second? Judge Whitfield, thank you. Everyone have a great week. All in favor, say aye. Have a good week.